Hello and welcome to a CBK gaming video. Join us as we discuss and review Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth, the Spreading War expansion. So what is the Spreading War expansion? Does it fit in your collection? And how does it benefit the core game? The Spreading War expansion is a big box expansion, which means you get 6 new characters. You get 6 new enemy types. You get new map tiles, you get more terrain, you get 6 new roles, you get 65 new item cards. All in all, it's more of the same. It's a new campaign. All but having learned from their previous campaigns, adding, I think, more paths and options and choices which change the gameplay as you go along. Overall, the campaign for Spreading War is very strong. It's well written, it's enjoyable to play, and if you've already got the core game, it's a great addition. There are some issues with this expansion, and I personally believe this is the weakest of the expansions. And I think you would agree with that statement.
Yeah, it's sad to say, but yes, I have to agree with you on that.
And that's not the campaign. As I stated, the campaign is really good and actually probably one of their stronger. So why do we both feel that this is a weaker expansion? Well, you only have to look on the table. We have siege engines and an Oliphant in this expansion as the bad guys. That's great, except for scale. I can forgive some scale abnormalities in this game, and I have done on the main map, because I really enjoy Lord of the Rings, and this really reminds me of that Radio 4 play. It's very well done. But when you get this sort of thing, where you have a siege tower next to a player character, it's a bit silly. Along with the Oliphant, it just doesn't make sense to me that they chose these as the enemy.
Yeah.
And it really takes you out of that immersion. I know that's picky, and certainly some people can forgive it, and that's great. For me personally, no, they've done something wrong here. These are 2 things that should not have been added to the game. Just feels a little bit lazy, and there's a couple of things in this expansion that just feel as if corners have been cut, they've been rushed a little bit. These are 2 of them. On top of that, the sculpts, they look fantastic. You've got these goblin wolf riders, but they've got these real weak points with the way they're holding their weapon, so they are all broken. And we've had to repair some we just don't have the part anymore, it disappeared in the box. And we're not the only ones that have experienced that. That's certainly been seen and been reported quite a lot. Not something I expect from Fantasy Flight. I'm actually unimpressed. We hold them to a higher standard because they set a high standard for most of their models and most of their games.
Their quality is normally so high, it's what we compare other games to. And then to have this one come out, it's a disappointment.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's just the models. Overall, it's great. You get to play Bjorn, so you've got the bear that you can turn into. They've thought very well about how that character is envisioned. It works well. You get the opportunity to play Boromir. So you've got Gondor represented here, and Gondor and Rohan are very much the core of this campaign and part of the story. So being able to play Boromir was fantastic. You do have the Rohirrim in Freyhild. Now, I do wish I'm really pleased that we get to play a Rohirrim, but I do wish we had Erwin. There's something that I think she would have been a fantastic character to have included. You have another elf, Renarian. You have Dwalin.
And don't forget the Tooks.
And yes, and another hobbit. You have a selection of new careers. But what else they've included in this? They've increased the level of some of the weapons and the armour. So they've added these level 4 upgrades. And they make the weapons very powerful. You can only have one, so you couldn't have a level 4 armour and a level 4 weapon. You couldn't have 2 level 4 weapons if you're a 2-weapon character. You can only have one. And they're quite well thought out. I don't think they're overly powered. But there are some additions which I feel a little bit more uncomfortable about. And that's the mounts. I do like them. I think it's a great addition. But some of the mounts give some of those unique abilities. So one of Gandalf's abilities is included on one of the mounts. And it just feels like the player characters are getting a bit too powerful. And it feels that they haven't necessarily play tested to see how powerful, because we've played it and it was a bit insane.
I mean,
not fun.
No, I mean, we started off with just the characters that come in this expansion with the mounts, and it did give you an extra level. You have more capabilities, but it wasn't stupidly overpowered. But then when you start bringing in characters from the base game from other expansions and giving them the mounts, you start finding synergies that then take you another step again, and that's when you risk getting overpowered. And you think, oh, we've got this big battle coming up. It might become a bit too easy if you've got the right character with the right mount, with the right weapon.
And don't get us wrong, that was in the game before, but it's been because they've had added the extra capability of their mount, the extra level of the weapons, it's just been made much more obvious, which is a bit of a shame. Overall, the Spreading War does add a well-scripted, well-crafted campaign set against the backdrop of Gondor and Rohan. You meet some important characters from the Lord of the Rings lore, and that's fantastic and really good fun. Do the other items cause any issues? Yes, I think they do. We all laughed when a siege tower turned up on the battle map. These are fine representations on the map, don't get me wrong. Scale goes out the window on the main map.
Yeah, the journey map has no scale, and you accept that from the first game in the base game.
Well, we do. Journey. Chris didn't. Chris really doesn't like this game simply because of that.
Yeah.
And these being awful battle boards, which I understand.
Yeah, but up until now, everything's been reasonably within scale. There may be one thing that's been not quite to the right size, but sort of we're talking millimetres, you can forgive it. Everything looks amazing when it's on the battle map. When you then bring out the siege tower, and it's, well, if my character stands on your character's shoulders, we could get on top of that and beat it, is how it looks. You don't get that feel of impending doom of this huge siege machine in front of you.
And even worse with the Oliphant, it's just laughable.
It's the size of a large horse.
Yeah.
And our characters are all meant to be on mounts. there was no. From when you looked at the stats coming up on the board on the game, you think, wow, this is going to be a fight. Then when you see it physically in front of you, it just took a little bit away from me. That I didn't feel I was fighting this huge thing.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. It's by far the weakest of the expansions, but one of the best campaigns.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get past the scaling issue, the story is amazing.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. And we don't want to give anything away with the story, but there's some of the other expansions have had sort of almost investigation elements to it. And they've done that with this as well, which I've really enjoyed, because you get the whole journey, you do get battle maps, but you get another element of investigating and talking to people. And that I've really, really enjoyed. Yeah,
they've done some really good things in this campaign. And whilst I believe this is the last big box expansion, what I'm hoping that they do is continue doing some DLC or even the little boxes and adding new campaigns, which would be fantastic to see. Overall, it's good quality. You would expect that from Fantasy Flight, with the exceptions that the Wolf Riders, where we've seen some broken figures. There's some issues around scaling. The Siege Towers and the Oliphant just don't belong. They shouldn't have been put in here. They could have made better decisions there, in my opinion. There's some lack of playthroughs and understanding some of the synergies, making some of your characters very overpowered, especially late game, almost game breaking, I think, in some aspects. Some people like that. Personally, I don't find it boring when there's no real feel of threat, especially this is a cooperative game. There has to be that feel of threat, otherwise if you walk it, you're just going to get bored.
You want that final fight, I'm going to throw everything I've got at it, and I'm relying on you guys to then come in and finish it off, otherwise I'm going to die. You want that feel in a big fight, and if you've got the right weapon or the right armour and you've got the right mount and you've got the right ability, it's, I've got this, don't worry. That's not what you want in a cooperative game.
No, you want to be pushed a bit, and because these use the AI and they use the app, you feel that you do get that with this as a cooperative game. Can I, with hand on heart, recommend this? No. If you have Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, get the other expansions, Shadowed Paths, definitely. Get the small box add-ons, definitely. They all add good content. This is the last one to get. It feels lackluster. It feels that they needed a little bit longer, a little bit more polish. That's a real disappointment for me, especially, as I said, this I believe is the last big box expansion. It feels almost that we're moving on, just throw it out, just get it out, and I expect more from Fantasy Flight. Is there anything else you want to say?
I think we've covered it all. I mean, I know we're saying we can't recommend it. The story has still been really good. And if you've got all the others and you are looking for that last extra story, then yes, get it. But if you haven't got the other expansions, I don't think we can say get this before the others.
The only reason to get this is you want to play Boromir, you want to play Bjorn. They're two very famous characters that people would love to play. The mounts. I personally would love to have seen a mounted figure for Freyhild. It would have made sense. She's a horse lord. There's just some strange choices to be. But the artwork, absolutely spot on with the artwork. Fantastic artwork as always. The extra terrain types. You've got trenches, fences. You've got the fountain. They all work really well. You've got, in regards to, you've got this captured and despondent as new states, which again work really well and quite good fun and that's what's so infuriating with this. So close to being a really good expansion, but failed just at that last hurdle. And I really don't like saying that. It really upsets me. But we have to, we have to be true and honest, and that's how we feel about the Spreading War expansion, guys. Sorry to sort of end on a bad note. However, if you have enjoyed this and you do like watching our content, please consider subscribing. Click on the like, click on the bell, and all that jazz. We haven't been around for a little while. We've unfortunately, we did rescue another German Shepherd. Unfortunately, that had some rather profound impact on our lives, as Floki unfortunately attacked Karen, and we ended up having to go back to the rescue. It was quite a serious situation, and I've also got a new job. We're trying to get ourselves settled, so we're starting to bring videos back out. Please just bear with us. We're going to try and get to one video a week. We have some reviews coming up. We have Warfighter, the modern tactical card game. We have Massive Darkness 2. We'll be doing Folklore, Fall of the Spire. We've also got, I'm starting work on Next War Poland, so we've just been playing through that, so we'll be doing that, but that'll be a little while. I want to do the advanced stuff on there. Warfighter PMC, Shadow War, Warfighter Shadow War, which is the night bits and pieces. So we've got a few things that we want to start working through. But as always, we really appreciate it, especially if you've got through to this part, and we look forward to bringing you more videos in 2022. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.